Krishna, Krishna, Hare, Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Nitai Gaura Hare Bo Hare Bo Hare Gaura Nitai Gaura Hare Bo Hare Bo Jai Jai Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya.
Caitanya Caritamrta Kapikam Bhagavitale Saya Munsakadamayam Vadati Sakadanta Panchakalpashuvisa Vika Sindhu Bhaivita Kapikulam Pavinindra Vaishnava. How are you feeling, Radhaman? Did you get the report back?
Not yet.
No. Sounds like sort of okay. Hare Krishna. So we're hearing of Sakshi Gopal, And we've heard of Sakshi Gopal, and that pastime has been completed. Mahaprabhu has narrated that pastime, and now he and the devotees who are accompanying him are making their way from Kathak, stopping in Bhuvaneshwar, and then Mahaprabhu and the devotees spent the night in Bhuvaneshwar, in the temple, and then they again started on their journey, so they're very close to Jagannath Puri, very close. In his book, Caitanya Bhagavata, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has very vividly described the places visited by the Lord on the way to Bhuvaneshwar. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived in Kamalapur, he took his bath in the Bharganadi river, and he left his sannyas staff in the hands of Lord Nityananda. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the temple of Lord Shiva, known as Kapateshwar, Nityananda Prabhu, who was keeping his sannyas staff in custody, he was caring for Mahaprabhu's danda, he broke the staff in 3 parts, and he threw it into the river Banganadi. And later, this river became known as Danda Banga Nadi, the river, the nadi, where the danda was broken. Have you been there? But you've gone to Jagannath Puri. How did you go when you went?
We flew to Bhuvaneshwar and then drove.
Okay. So if it's on the way from Bhuvaneshwar, so you probably passed it, but you didn't know. And devotees have an ashram there. And next time you go, you can bathe in the river. And just be careful of the crocodiles and the tigers and everything like that. But you can bathe in. In the Sundarban, there's tigers. Right? Do you know that? They especially like to eat little girls. Here's Prabhupada's purport. Because Nityananda Prabhu broke the sannyas danda of Mahaprabhu, so why did he do that? So here's Prabhupada's purport. The mystery of the sannyas danda, the staff of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has been explained by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the order of sannyas from a Mayavadi sannyasi. The Mayavadi sannyasis generally carry 1 staff or danda. That's 1 bamboo rod. Taking advantage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's absence, Srila Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 parts and threw it into the river, later known as Danda Banga Nadi. In the sannyas order, there are 4 divisions: Kutichak, Bahudak, Hamsa, and Paramhansa. Only when the sannyasi remains on the Kutichak and Bahudak platform can he carry a staff. However, when one is elevated to the status of Hamsa or Paramhamsa, after touring and preaching the Bhakti code, he must give up the sannyas staff. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is therefore said, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Radha Krishna Nahe Anya. 2 personalities, Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, are combined in the incarnation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, considering Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be an extraordinary person, Lord Nityananda Prabhu did not wait for the Paramhamsa stage. He reasoned that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is automatically on the Paramhamsa stage. Therefore, he does not need to carry the sannyas danda. This is the reason Sri Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff into 3 pieces and threw it into the water. And then as they moved closer to Jagannath Puri, closer and closer they were walking. And after seeing the temple of Jagannath from a distant place, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu immediately became ecstatic. And after offering obeisances to the temple, he began to dance in the ecstasy of love of God. Here's Prabhupada's purport. The word Dhula refers to the temple where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated. The present temple of Jagannath Puri was constructed by King Anangabhima. Historians say this temple must have been constructed at least 2,000 years ago. During the time of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the small buildings surrounding the original temple had not been constructed, nor was the high platform in front of the temple present during the time of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu, and this is the custom, as soon as one sees the huge temple of Lord Jagannath in the distance, and one can see it from miles and miles and kilometers away, that immediately one offers one's obeisances. And Mahaprabhu, upon seeing that, immediately went into ecstasy because he thought of Lord Jagannath. And all the devotees became ecstatic in the association of Lord Chaitanya, and thus, absorbed in love of God, they were dancing and singing while going along the main road. I think an ant is attacking me. No, I don't think you can do anything about it. I think one of us will win. It'll probably be, I think, size will win over determination at this point. If you would just go away, then we'd be peaceful together. So Mahaprabhu was in ecstasy. And he laughed, he cried, he danced, and made many ecstatic vibrations and sounds. So why would he be doing that? Why would ecstasy cause all the laughing, the dancing, the crying, the standing up, the falling to the ground, tears? It is very difficult to understand because we're external to these things, and Mahaprabhu was in such a deep internal mood. But this is the soul, how the soul is reacting when it is deeply immersed in love for Krishna. The soul is manifesting incredible, inconceivable emotions, transformations. And these transformations are described in more detail by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the final 5 chapters of Antya-lila of Caitanya Caritamrta. And again, it is due to separation, the experience of loving Krishna, but not being near him, and incapable of getting to him. So the soul in that paradoxical situation, wanting to, one's life, when one experiences one's life is completely depending upon being with Krishna. He's the Lord of one's life, but then not being able to do so. But based on love, then the soul becomes ecstatic and exhibits ecstatic transformations. Sometimes it appears that in this separation that there's great suffering going on, but this suffering isn't like the suffering that one might experience in the material world. This is all on the ecstatic transcendental platform. So Krishnadas Kaviraj, when he's describing these things in the final chapters of Antya-lila, he says that one really can't understand this while one is in the material realm, while one's consciousness is limited by the material realm. But he suggests that we hear about these ecstatic manifestations from Caitanya Mahaprabhu based on separation. We hear about them with faith again and again and again, and that will gradually affect the consciousness and purify one's consciousness. Thus walking and walking, the Lord eventually arrived at the place known as Attaranala. Anyone know what Attaranala means?
18 wells?
Not wells, but 18 arches. And there's a bridge that you can see today, even, that it's a construct, and it has these 18 arches. You've seen that, of course. It's there, by the way, still. And from there you can really see the Jagannath temple very, very clearly. So they arrived at Attaranala. It's a bridge with 18 arches called Attaranala. Attara means 18. What does Attara mean?
18.
Very good, very good. And Nala probably means arches, probably. So Nityananda Kahe Prabhu, so Nityananda Prabhu said to the Lord, or Mahaprabhu rather said to Nityananda Prabhu, Deha Mora Danda, give me my danda. And Nityananda Prabhu said, Danda Haila Tina Kanda, is broken into 3 parts. So here is Prabhupada's translation. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had thus regained external consciousness, he was getting closer to the temple. And in his ecstasy, he previously forgot about his danda that he had given to Nityananda when he bathed in the Bhaganadi. So then he came to external consciousness when he saw the Jagannath temple, and he asked Nityananda, please return my staff. And Nityananda Prabhu then replied, it has been broken into 3 parts. Nityananda Prabhu said, when you fell down in ecstasy, I caught you, but both of us together fell upon the staff. What do you think about that, Ras Mohan? What do you think?
Well, he didn't give a straight answer.
You might even say that he didn't even tell the truth. He made up a story. Because theoretically, Mahaprabhu in ecstasy, he wouldn't remember what had happened. So Nityananda he said something. He broke it, but of course we know that Nityananda broke it consciously for a specific purpose, for a specific lesson. And that lesson, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that as the Supreme Lord, he was already on the Paramhamsa platform, beyond the Paramhamsa platform, so there was no need for him to take a staff or carry that staff with him. And Nityananda continued. The story continued that he constructed. Thus the staff broke under our weight, and where the pieces have gone, I cannot say. He didn't say, he did say, Nadjanila, it is not known, because he threw them in the river and they floated away. It is certainly because of my offense that your staff was broken. Now you can punish me on this account as you think proper, Nityananda Prabhu said. And after hearing the story about how his staff had been broken, the Lord expressed a little sadness, and he displayed a bit of anger, and he began to speak as follows. Now here, we're going to very soon hear the external reason, one could say, is why the staff was broken, is because Mahaprabhu, he had to enter Jagannath Puri alone, because there was a pastime that was going to unfold. So this breaking of the staff and the anger produced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the perfect reason for the pastime to develop, unfold. So here's Prabhupada's second, the purport, which is and this purport will explain again why the staff was broken, but this will be the second reason. Sri Nityananda Prabhu considered Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of sannyas to be useless. He therefore relieved the Lord of the trouble of carrying the staff. So that's the second reason. And the third reason was the one that I gave you already. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu expressed anger because he wanted to teach all other sannyasis that they should not give up the staff before attaining the platform of Paramhamsa. Seeing that the regulative principles could be slackened by such actions, Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to carry the staff personally to set an example. However, Nityananda broke it. For this reason, Caitanya Mahaprabhu displayed a little anger. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita 3:21, Yad Yad Akcharati Shreshtas Tad Tad Evetaro. You know the next word? Janaha. Whatever great people do, others follow. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to follow the Vedic principles strictly in order to save inexperienced neophytes who tried to imitate Paramhamsas. Do you know what that verse means? It was basically said, but what's your understanding of what that verse means?
People see someone like a great personality doing something, then they like to do it as well.
They'll naturally do the same thing. But one of the you know what? You ever hear the expression, it's a double-edged sword? You know, because sometimes there are swords that have only one edge is the sharp edge, so good for like cutting off people's heads and things like that. And if you're in a war or in a battle, but there are other swords that both sides are sharp, so you know, and cut off more heads that way. Yes, Judy.
What if you had that and you were holding one end and you would just cut yourself?
But you don't hold it on the end. You don't hold it on the sharp part. You hold it on the handle.
Yeah, but it's double-ended, so how...
No, it's not in that sense. It's like, say if, where is the ingredient? I need say if this was my sword, for example. So this end over here would be sharp, and this side also would be sharp because it's flat, right? Not this side and this side. Okay? So a double-edged sword means that it can cut both ways. So if someone's a great person, an actual great person, then he will perform activities that is very healthy for people to follow their example. It's good for them. But if one considers another person a great person who's not actually a great person, but has so many terrible habits, etc., but you consider him a great person, and this happens in today's culture that they're, you know, you might not know, but who are the people that are considered great in the sense of people follow their example? What position do they have in society? Who will say?
Rich.
The wealthy,
Great sports people.
sports people,
Singers.
famous,
Singers and actors.
singers and actors. Now these people, even though they're considered great by people in general, there's probably not very many others. The rich, the sports people, the music people, the singers, etc., and the movie stars. That's it, basically. These are the great heroes.
Models also.
Huh?
Models.
They're role models, yes. And if they don't have high qualities of character, yet because they are role models and considered great by the ordinary people, they follow their example, and this is the other edge of the sword that one gets cut by oneself. What do you think of that, Braj Mohan?
So it's very important to see whose example we'll follow.
Yeah. For us to choose who we think is great and therefore worthy of following or emulating. You know that word, emulate? What does it mean?
Like imitate.
Yeah, right. Basically, imitate, follow their example. So, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and Prabhupada kept saying, in his bit of anger, he said, and that was the second reason that Prabhupada gives in his purports why the staff was broken, is because Mahaprabhu wanted to carry the staff to set a good example, danda, and Nityananda Prabhu thought this wasn't necessary. He shouldn't have to be burdened by always carrying a staff. So Mahaprabhu, in anger, said, "You have all benefited me by bringing me to Nilachala. You have done me a great service, a great favor by staying with me and making sure that I reach Nilachala. However, my only possession is that one staff, and you have not kept it. This is all I have." When they left the house of Advaita Charya, Mahaprabhu asked, oh no, maybe it was when he was traveling in South India. He asked, did any of you, I'm not sure which one it was, he asked, did any of you bring anything with you? Meaning any food or even a second set of clothes? And the answer was no. And then he said, okay, because he wanted to exhibit the renunciation which requires one to depend on Krishna, that a sannyasi is required to perform when one goes on the service of the Lord, in the service of the Lord, etan sastaya parakmanishtam. So one goes completely dependent on Krishna, because it's practice. This dependence on Krishna is really practice, because at the time when we leave this world, when it's time to leave our body, all the things that we depend on in life, during our life, they will all fail us. So what do we depend on in our life? We depend on our physical strength, we depend on our finances, we depend on our influence, we depend on our intelligence, we depend on our beauty, we depend on all the people that we know, our influences. So these are all or on our detachment. If something is difficult situation, it'll just become detached. But at the time when we're leaving this world, those things don't prove to be valuable weapons to fight against the power of death, Yamaraj. And there's only one thing, and that is giving oneself fully to Krishna. There's only one thing that will actually protect us. So it's not that we can live our life depending on our own strength, our wealth, our influence, our intelligence, etc., and then at the last moment just depend on Krishna. No, it takes practice, because naturally, when it's a frightening time when we leave this world. It's a frightening time. Oh, Jivi, you shouldn't listen to this part, okay? Because you should be, coloring only. So Braj Mohan, you can listen. That will probably get Jivi listening. You know the tricks, or some of them anyway, or a few of them. So, naturally, it's very frightening, unnerving, disconcerting, disturbing, unsettling when things that we need or we think we need and things that we depend on are taken from us one by one or all at once. And then unless we've practiced in life holding on tightly to Krishna, lotus feet and his service, and having developed that kind of trust in Krishna, then it's extremely difficult to do it in the last moments of one's life. So life, in that sense, is a practice for the ending of life, in that sense. So we are meant to live our life depending on Krishna. So it's easy, of course, to say this and to give others classes on this, but it's not so easy to do. But that should be in our mind when we're in difficulty, that Krishna has sent me this difficulty. Not that he caused it, but he has kindly sent it in such a way so I can practice. Practice what? Most of the practice is controlling one's mind and taking shelter of him. Brajmohan, what do you just imagine how difficult it would be if you misplaced your bag, where all the most important things in existence are, including 45 library cards. What's the number at this point?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a likely story. Is it more than 30? Is it more than 40? No, okay. So Mahaprabhu said, my only possession was that one staff, and you have not kept it. I've put that one possession, the only possession I have, I put that in your care, and you have not kept it. So all of you, you should go before to Jagannath Puri, before me or behind me to see Lord Jagannath. I shall not go with you. So if you want, you go ahead and I'll wait. Or if you want, I'll go ahead and you wait. I won't go with you. He was angry. Mukunda Datta told Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, my Lord, you should go ahead. Prabhu, Tumi Jaha Agi, you go ahead and allow all others to follow you, because he was the Lord. The Lord goes before and we follow behind. It's not like when the Prime Minister or someone very important comes, it's not that everyone just walks on in front of him. No, he's leading the procession. Of course, there are people who are guards, perhaps, but one doesn't walk in front of it, the exalted person. So we shall not go with you. You should go ahead and allow all the others to follow. We shall not go with you. He said, so Mukunda Datta said, yes, as you like. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu then began to walk very swiftly before all the other devotees. He walked away very quickly. No one could understand the real purpose of the two lords, Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. The devotees could not understand why Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff, why Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu permitted him to do so, or why, after permitting him, Caitanya Mahaprabhu became angry. So in what sense did Caitanya Mahaprabhu permit him to break the staff? We heard that Nityananda Prabhu was given the staff by Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and then Nityananda Prabhu broke it. Did Mahaprabhu permit him to break it? And the answer is yes, because as the Supreme Lord, nothing can happen without his sanction. So that's an important point to understand in all of Caitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. They are considered leelas because there's always something extra going on. It's not just happening and it's just a little story of how a day was spent. It's not that at all, but there's always some purpose or explanation or some deeper meaning behind every occurrence in Leela or pastimes of Mahaprabhu, of Krishna. So what is the mysterious reason behind this? So we've already said 3 reasons. The devotees could not understand why Nityananda Prabhu broke the staff, why Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu permitted him to do so, or why, after permitting him, since Mahaprabhu must have given sanction, the Anumanta, Krishna is the Anumanta, he is the permitter, why then did he become angry? The pastime Danda Banga Lila E Parama Gambhira. Gambhira means deep. Just like the place where in Jagannath Puri where Mahaprabhu stayed, the cave, the very hidden place where Mahaprabhu stayed in his time, which is now in Radhakantamat, very close to the Jagannath temple. It is called the Gambhira. Gambhira means deep. So Mahaprabhu's pastimes there were very deep. They were the deepest pastimes of separation. He's experiencing separation from Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. So this pastime is also Parama Gambhira. It is the deepest pastime, very deep. And who can understand it? Only one whose devotion is fixed upon the lotus feet of the two lords, Nitai and Gaur, can understand it. Copyright Goswami says. To the Prabhupada's purport. One who understands Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu in reality can understand, one who understands Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu in reality can understand their identity as well as the breaking of the staff. All the previous acharyas, being induced to engage themselves fully in the service of the Lord, induced, meaning inspired, or induced by Krishna, gave up attachment for material life and thus accepted the staff, which signifies full engagement of the mind, speech, and body in the service of the Lord. The mind, the speech, and the body, those are the three parts of the three bamboo rods and the staff of a Vaishnava sannyasi, and plus the one part that is shaped like that represents the jiva, the living entity, because this is what the jiva should do. Not just the body, not just taste rupa, but also bhava rupa. The mood should be engaged in the service of the Lord, bhava rupa. So this is full mind, body, and words. This is full engagement in the service of the Lord. So Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the regulative principles of the renounced order of life. That is completely clear. However, in the Paramhamsa stage, there was no need to accept a danda, a staff. And Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu was certainly in the Paramhamsa stage, so that was the first reason. Nonetheless, to indicate that everyone should take sannyas at the end of life in order to engage fully in the service of the Lord, even Paramhamsas like Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his confidential devotees follow the regulative principles unfailingly. Indeed, that was his purpose. Nityananda Prabhu, who is Krishna's eternal servitor, believed that there was no need for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to carry the staff and to declare to the world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was above all regulations. He broke it into three pieces. This pastime, known as Danga Banga Lila, is thus explained by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So it is very, very deep, but yet it can be understood when explained by a very, very deep soul. So Mahaprabhu, in other words, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Nityananda Prabhu wanted to assert that. He wanted to state that through the breaking of the staff, that Mahaprabhu wasn't not that a Paramhamsa is ordinary, a Paramhamsa is extraordinary. Do you know why topmost sannyasi is called a Paramhamsa? Do you know? Do you know? Why?
This one that gets on the milk out of the water.
Can separate the milk. Say if there's a mixture of water and milk. So the swan is especially called the Rajahamsa. It can put its beak into that mixture and extract the milk and leave the water. Now, how that Rajahamsa does that, no one could say. He said that he has that ability. Now, what does that have to do with why a sannyasi in the fourth state, Hansa, but not then Paramhansa, why is he called a Paramhansa? Yes?
The only thing I know is that Hamsa means swan.
Yes?
But does Dharma mean perfect?
Yeah? Well, the highest of swans, yes. So why is the Rajahamsa, the Paramahamsa's ability to extract milk from water, from a mixture of milk and water, why is that title given to this highest level of being, of sannyasi? Do you know?
Though they're in the material world, they can extract the spiritual essence out.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. That although they're in the material world, seemingly in the material world, they're able to extract out the spiritual purpose of the material world. So even though they appear to be in the material world, practically speaking, they're not. They're living in the mercy of Krishna. And they're seeing Krishna's arrangement and Krishna's purpose and Krishna's service in every situation that they run across it in the material world. Now you know, they extract the essence, because there's a spiritual essence of the material world, because the material world isn't actually a material world as if it's separate from Krishna. It is also Krishna's energies. This is one of the main points that is given in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, because it comes from Krishna. It's not mithya, it's not false. It's spiritual. It has a spiritual purpose and a spiritual essence, and ultimately it's Krishna in the sense that it's the energy of Krishna. But it's his external energy, not his internal energy. Then the chapter is just about to end. The glories of Lord Gopal, Brahmanya Deva Gopalera Mahima E Danya, Nityananda Bhaktayal Shota Sri Caitanya. The glories of Lord Gopal, who is merciful to Brahmanas, are very great. The narration of Shakshi Gopal was spoken by Nityananda Prabhu and heard by Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Purport. There are 4 points of instruction one should consider in the story of Shakshi Gopal. First, the deity, the Archa-vigraha of Sri Gopal, is eternally Satchidananda Vigraha, the transcendental form of the Lord. So the Lord and his deity form are the same. Second, the deity surpasses material regulative principles and extends the reality of transcendental principles. What's a moral regulative principle that the deity of Shakshi Gopal that he broke? What's a moral principle that he broke?
The promise to marry, to give the daughter to...
Whoops, yes, but I'm sorry, my mistake there. I was thinking of Gopinath, who stole. And we shouldn't steal. But he extended, he took a material thing, which is a marriage, and being a witness of a marriage, he took a material circumstance and he made it completely transcendental by his becoming a witness. So the deity surpasses material regulative principles, so it became completely transcendental and extends the reality of transcendental principles. Third, one can be situated in a transcendental position after becoming a Brahmana. But as a Brahmana, one has to follow the regulative principles very strictly. Lastly, Brahmanya Deva indicates Lord Sri Krishna himself, who is worshipped thus: Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmanhitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namah. This indicates that a devotee who is under the protection of Krishna is automatically situated as a Brahmana, and such a Brahmana is not illusion. This is factual. And there are two final verses. One who hears this narration of Lord Gopal with faith and love very soon attains the lotus feet of Lord Gopal. Shraddha yukta hoy iha shuni je jana achare milare tare Gopal charana. So one who hears this pastime with faith and love very soon attains the lotus feet of Gopal. And then the final verse, Si Rupa Raghunatha Pode Yad Aj Caitanya Caritamrta Kahe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, following in their footsteps. What else do you remember from the amazing thing from the story of Saksha Gopal? Or from Gopinath? Or Gopal in Vrindavan from the previous chapter? Yes, Brahman.
The most amazing is that Gopal, the deity, walked.
Yes. Now, I will ask you a question. Do you think it's most amazing that he walked, or the reason that he walked? I'm asking it just as a question. What caused him to walk? Which do you think is more amazing?
What caused him to?
Why? Why do you think that's more amazing?
Because it seems like a small thing that there's this Brahmana. He has been promised that he will marry the other Brahmana's daughter, and it's not working out. But it seems like a small thing.
It seems like a small thing.
But Gopal, just for his devotee, he walked hundreds of kilometers, thousands of kilometers.
And he walked so far. So the fact, if you include why he walked, to serve his devotee and to show how under the control the Lord is of his devotee, that he'll even walk. So that also includes that concept that the Lord serves his devotees, includes the concept of him walking in this pastime. And that's so wonderful. And that the deity is the Lord, and he can do as he likes. He can perform the impossible very easily. Thank you. Any other things you remember from the wonderful things from this pastime?
Gopal was feeling hot.
You mean Gopinath or Gopal?
It's the other Gopal, right? Would have been the Puri Gopal.
Oh, yeah. Right. He was feeling so warm. So therefore, he asked Mat. But there's always another reason for everything. He wanted to show that soon as Madhavendra Puri heard that his beloved Gopal was feeling inconvenienced by the heat, he immediately left. But also interestingly is that he made sure before he left, he made sure everything was going to go on properly. He was very practical in his managerial skills and responsibilities. And then he left. He made sure that that Gopal was going to be taken care of properly. And the intimacy of the Lord and his devotees is so great. Look what he did with it. As you said, it was seemingly a small thing that a marriage wasn't going to take place. That happens all the time. But because he had the Brahmin said, "I will call you as a witness if this doesn't happen." Then Gopal was obliged to fulfill the words of the Brahmin. That's also amazing. He felt obligated. Because that Brahmin was a great devotee. Look at his faith. Look at his devotion. And look what happened when Gopal came there, and he served him for the rest of his life with the older Brahmin. And Gopal, Sakshi Gopal told him that you are both my eternal servants. Anything else you remember from the past time?
I like the intimacy between the Brahmana and Sakshi Gopal when he comes and asks him to come with him and to fulfill his promise. And then Sakshi Gopal says, "Well, are you expecting a deity to walk all the way?" And he said, "Well, you're talking to me, so you can do what you like." So I like that Krishna sometimes kind of tests our determination,
Yeah.
faith.
Another way to look at it, rather than Krishna was testing, is that he was showing the great faith that this young Brahmin had. So in tests, our abilities and our qualities are shown. So Krishna wants the devotees to become glorified because of their exalted qualities. And unless there's a test, the exalted qualities don't come out and aren't revealed. Any other points? Yeah.
That anything which happens in Leela, there is some reason behind it. Always a reason behind it. Why that is. There's a very deep meaning behind every story. So
All the pastimes.
all the pastime.
Yeah, they're not just stories,
Yeah.
cute stories. They're all exhibiting something deep. Very often, like in Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, there's so many cute stories, and when we tell the cute stories, we all giggle. Krishna has done something so cute and clever, but actually, it's about the love that he has, and reciprocates with his devotees, and the devotees love him so much, he's brought under their control, and he becomes mugdata, that he even forgets his position as the Supreme Lord. And he becomes factually fearful of Mother Yashoda, who picks up a stick to chastise him. He actually becomes afraid. He's not just, the tears aren't running down his eyes as an act. He's actually afraid of Mother Yashoda. And he's the Supreme Lord, so those are contradictory. But he doesn't lose his position as the Supreme Lord when the love of Mother Yashoda compacts his consciousness so much that he forgets he's the Supreme Lord. Her affection for him causes his affection for her to overcome his own knowledge that he's the Supreme Lord. Of course, we can't understand what his consciousness is actually like. But yeah, there's always so many mysterious things going on. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes. A question.
How can we
understand the ecstasy people have when they see famous actors and famous singers. They really faint and really shiver and really. So there's some reaction of the soul over there. Or
Is it a reaction of the soul or a reaction of their material mind, having nothing to do with the soul at all? What do you think?
but is it not the nature of the like to expect to see somebody you didn't see and then of course it's the mind because you live in your once
But the soul is asleep, basically. But not asleep in the sense that there's no consciousness, like when we sleep, there's no consciousness, but it's being reflected through a very, very dark lens. So all one gets is the reflection. It's the soul's energy reflected in the material energy, the soul's consciousness reflected through the material energy, through ahankara, through material buddhi, manas, intelligence and mind. The soul's energy is reflected. So it shows that one can say that if they have so much exuberation, what is the word? Exuberance, seeing some movie star, just imagine what it would be like seeing Krishna, if one loves Krishna. And the Mahaprabhu was showing that continuously, just by seeing Lord Jagannath in his temple. He was falling down on the ground and ecstatic and dancing and chanting, all completely a natural product of his internal mood of love for Krishna. So that's reflected in the material world. We can't avoid, as you're saying. And why does this happen? And it's generally not elderly people who have these experiences with movie stars and sports stars, and it's generally young and emotional. Why doesn't that happen to elderly people? In the material world, even in its reflected way.
less fantasy.
Less fantasy? Why? What are you thinking?
I think they have already seen all the things and they know what is the reality most of the time, and then they don't get attracted to that fake.
The glitter.
Yes, the fake
The
glitter.
glitter that's not a diamond.
Yes.
I was thinking of it another way. They've seen it, but it's basically the same thing. That hearts have become hardened and callous, covered by their experiences in this world, and they don't so easily, doesn't so easily.
Fall in the trap.
Well, I was thinking of it another way. That's the positive way to see it. They don't fall into the trap. I was thinking their heart, they don't experience very much because their hearts have been, their consciousness has been deadened by their experience in the material world, and they become cynical and quite unhappy often, the elderly. Or either that, or they tend to